Have you ever felt this? That strange moment when you're standing right in front of the life you want, close enough to touch it, yet your feet refuse to move. You have goals, dreams, and plans so perfectly crafted they almost feel like destiny, but they just sit there, untouched, like a sword that never leaves its sheath. You tell yourself you need more time, more clarity, more confidence, but the truth is far simpler and far more brutal. You lack the courage to begin. Fear doesn't roar, it whispers. It tells you, don't take the risk, don't embarrass yourself, don't fail, and you obey. You freeze. You watch other people advance while you become a spectator in your own story. And here is the part no one likes to admit. Fear has mastered more men than any battlefield in history. It kills dreams long before reality ever gets the chance. But there's something you need to know. You are not the first to face this invisible enemy. More than 400 years ago, a warrior who walked alone, undefeated across 60 duels, stood face to face with the same kind of fear that stops you today. Instead of bowing to it, he studied it, understood it, and ultimately broke its power. His name was Miyamoto Musashi, and what he discovered can change the way you confront fear forever. Miyamoto Musashi was not just a swordsman. He was a force of nature, a man who walked through life with nothing but his discipline, his blade, and an unshakable commitment to understanding himself. 60 duels, 0 losses, not because he was the strongest, but because he was the most aware. He studied human nature the way others studied war. He dissected his own weaknesses long before he ever struck down an opponent. And near the end of his life, at 62 years old, he retreated into a cave to write something far more powerful than any technique he ever used in combat. A text called Dokodo, The Path of Walking Alone. 21 rules, crafted in the final week before his death. Rules not about killing, but about living. Not about defeating an enemy in front of you, but the enemy inside you. Musashi understood a truth that modern science is only now beginning to confirm. Most battles are internal, and fear is the sharpest blade you will ever face. These principles he left behind weren't written for warriors of the past. They were written for anyone willing to confront themselves with honesty and courage, for anyone who refuses to live a small life controlled by invisible chains. And if you're here, listening to this, it means you're already searching for something more. Musashi's teachings won't make your fears disappear, they will make you stronger than them. Let's step into the first lesson he left for those who dare to walk alone. Before we step into Musashi's 21 rules, you need to understand the battlefield itself. Fear isn't random, it isn't chaos, it has structure, it has roots, and if you don't know where fear comes from, you'll spend your whole life trying to cut the branches instead of striking the trunk. Every fear you've ever felt can be traced back to 4 foundations that shape the way you move through the world. The first is the fear of discomfort. Your mind is wired to protect you from anything unfamiliar, anything uncertain, anything that might sting your pride or push you into the unknown. This is why so many men stay in the same job, the same routine, the same version of themselves long after it stops serving them. Comfort becomes a cage disguised as safety. The second root is the fear of imagined scenarios. Most people don't fear reality. They fear the movie playing in their head about what could go wrong: rejection, failure, embarrassment, loss. Your brain treats these fantasies like real danger, even when nothing in front of you is actually threatening. It's like living with a predator that exists only in your thoughts. The third root is the fear of judgment. Humans are social creatures, but somewhere along the way, approval became more important than authenticity. You fear the opinions of people who don't even know you. You shrink yourself to fit expectations you never agreed to. And every time you do, fear tightens its grip. The fourth and deepest root is the fear of loss. Loss of status, loss of love, loss of security, loss of identity. The more you cling to something, the more power fear has over you. Musashi understood all of this centuries ago. He saw that fear doesn't control you through violence, but through attachment. What you cannot let go of becomes the very thing that keeps you from moving forward. And this is why his 21 rules are so deadly effective. They don't just treat fear, they pull it out at the root. Now that you see the battlefield clearly, it's time to learn how Musashi began dismantling fear from the inside out. Musashi's first 5 rules strike directly at the roots we just uncovered. They aren't gentle, they aren't comforting, they are designed to break the illusions that fear hides behind, the illusions most men never question. His first rule is simple but brutal. Do not oppose human nature. Musashi understood that fear is part of being human. The mistake is believing you must destroy it before taking action. Real warriors don't wait for fear to disappear. They move with it. They move through it. When you stop fighting the existence of fear, you free your energy to confront what actually matters. His second rule cuts into the addiction that weakens modern men. Do not seek pleasure for its own sake. The more you chase comfort, the more terrified you become of discomfort. A man who needs constant ease will break the moment life demands something from him. But a man who trains himself to accept discomfort becomes untouchable. His third rule is a warning disguised as wisdom. Do not rely on partial feelings. Musashi saw what we see today in neuroscience. Your emotions in moments of fear are almost always lies. They exaggerate, distort, and project danger where none exists. If you make decisions based on that storm inside your chest, fear will steer your entire life. His fourth rule shifts your perspective. Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. Fear thrives when you place yourself at the center of every imagined disaster. What if I fail? What if they judge me? What if I'm not good enough? But here's the truth. People are too occupied with their own battles to study your every move. Free yourself from the spotlight in your mind, and fear loses its stage. His fifth rule is where many men fall. Have goals, but do not let desires control you. Wanting something too desperately creates the fear of not obtaining it. You freeze because the dream becomes too heavy to risk losing. Musashi teaches the opposite. Move toward your goals with discipline, not attachment. When you act without clinging to the outcome, fear loses its sharpest weapon. These first 5 rules don't eliminate fear. They dismantle the illusions that make fear stronger than it really is. Now that the fog has lifted, Musashi moves deeper into the chains men place on themselves without realizing it. Musashi's next 6 rules strike at the emotional chains that quietly drain a man's strength. If the first 5 exposed fear's illusions, these 6 expose the weight you've been carrying without noticing. His 6th rule is decisive. Do not regret what you have done. Regret is the graveyard where courage is buried. Most men don't fear the future. They fear repeating the past. They replay old mistakes until hesitation becomes their default state. Musashi rejects this entirely. Make your decision with the best judgment you have. Act fully, accept the outcome, and move forward. Regret is a luxury a disciplined man cannot afford. His 7th rule is equally sharp. Do not be envious of others. Envy is fear wearing a different mask. It's the fear that you're not enough, that someone else is ahead, that life is slipping away from you. But comparison is a trap. You know your own struggle intimately, yet you compare it to someone else's highlight reel. When you stop measuring your worth against other men, fear loses one of its strongest weapons. His 8th rule challenges emotional dependence. Do not be saddened by separation. Whether it's people, relationships, or situations, clinging creates fear. When you fear losing what you love, you stop living boldly. Musashi understood that everything is temporary. Accepting this truth doesn't make you cold, it makes you unstoppable. His 9th rule goes deeper. Hold no resentment toward yourself or others. Resentment keeps your nervous system in a perpetual state of threat. It traps you in the past, replaying battles long finished. A man who carries resentment cannot walk forward with clarity. His 10th rule warns against emotional takeover. Do not be ruled by feelings of lust or love. Not because love is wrong, but because dependence is. When your identity relies on another person, fear of losing them dictates your every move. Freedom in relationships begins with strength within yourself. His 11th rule completes this set. In all things, have no preferences. This is about flexibility. When you expect life to follow a script, any deviation feels like danger. But when you allow life to unfold, fear has no foothold. These 6 rules strip away the emotional clutter that keeps a man weak, and once those chains fall off, Musashi turns to another enemy: the illusions built from material comfort. Musashi's next 6 rules attack a different kind of fear, one that quietly dominates modern life: the fear born from material attachment. These are the fears you don't notice because society disguises them as normal, even admirable. His 12th rule opens the strike. Do not depend on a fixed home. Musashi wasn't telling you to live without shelter. He was warning you about tying your sense of safety to external structures. When your identity depends on possessions, you become a prisoner of what you own. A house should be a tool, not a cage. His 13th rule goes deeper. Do not chase delicious flavors. This isn't about food, it's about the addiction to instant gratification. Every habit of comfort creates a point of vulnerability. If you need constant stimulation, entertainment, sugar, validation, attention, or praise, fear will control you through withdrawal. A man who can't sit alone with himself will never master anything. His 14th and 15th rules reinforce this simplicity. Do not keep unnecessary objects, and when eating, desire no more than what is needed. Modern men drown in clutter, both physical and mental. The more things you think you need, the more things you fear losing. Simplicity isn't aesthetic, it's strategy. His 16th rule is a direct strike against social conformity. Do not act according to customs that do not serve you. Most people live by scripts written by others long before they were born. They fear judgment, disappointment, and stepping outside the expected. Musashi demands independence. A man who follows outdated expectations cannot walk his own path. His 17th rule exposes a subtle modern trap. Do not collect weapons or practice with weapons beyond their usefulness. Today, the weapons are skills, courses, information. Men who fear taking action often hide behind endless preparation. They call it self-improvement, but it's really fear dressed as productivity. Knowledge without execution becomes another form of paralysis. These 6 rules cut away the material illusions that weaken your spirit. When you stop leaning on possessions, comfort, or social scripts, you become a man who stands on his own feet. And once Musashi strips away these attachments, he guides you into the final, most transformative truths. Musashi's final 4 rules are not gentle reminders. They are confrontations with the deepest truths a man must face if he intends to live without fear. Each one strikes at a core illusion that keeps most people walking through life half awake. His 18th rule is the most uncompromising of all. Do not fear death. Musashi wasn't glorifying danger. He understood a simple reality. Once you accept that your life will end, the smaller fears that dominate your days lose their power. Fear of embarrassment, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of trying. None of it survives when you recognize that time is the only thing you truly spend. And fear is the most expensive way to waste it. His 19th rule targets the obsession with future security. Do not seek to hoard possessions for old age. Modern society worships long-term safety, but in doing so, most men sacrifice the present. They delay life for a promise that may never arrive. Musashi teaches that preparing for the future is wise, but living in fear of the future is a slow death. His 20th rule strikes at spiritual dependency. Respect the gods, but do not rely on their help. Whether you call it fate, luck, or divine intervention, depending on anything outside yourself weakens your resolve. Hope is not a plan. Faith is not a substitute for action. A man must stand on his own will, not wait for the universe to rescue him. His 21st and final rule is the culmination of everything he lived for. You may abandon your body, but never your honor. Honor, in Musashi's world, means integrity, discipline, and alignment between your actions and your values. When you live with honor, fear loses its leverage because there is nothing left it can threaten. These final 4 rules carve away the last illusions. They remind you that life is finite, the future is uncertain, external help is unreliable, and your character is the only possession you truly control. With these truths, Musashi arms you for the kind of courage most men never experience. Understanding Musashi's philosophy is powerful, but knowledge without action is useless. A man becomes fearless not by thinking differently, but by doing differently. So here is where everything sharpens into practice. 3 steps, 24 hours. A test of whether you're here to consume ideas or to change your life. Step 1. Choose one thing you've been avoiding. Not 5, not 10. 1. The conversation you've postponed. The project you keep planning but never start. The decision you've been circling for months. Pick the task that stings the most, the one your mind keeps pushing away. That's your enemy for the next 24 hours. Step 2. Identify which root of fear controls it. Is it discomfort, Is it the disaster fantasy playing in your head? Is it fear of judgment, or fear of losing something you're attached to? If you can name the enemy, you can confront it. And once you see which route is driving your hesitation, pair it with one of Musashi's rules. Treat the rule not as a quote, but as a command. Step 3. Take action within 24 hours, not when you feel ready. Readiness is a lie fear tells to delay your life. Break the loop by moving while fear is still present. Send the message. Make the call. Start the project. Step into the discomfort deliberately. When you act while fear is still in the room, you teach your nervous system a new truth. Fear is not a stop sign. This 24-hour challenge is not about achieving perfection. It's about reclaiming momentum. One decisive action builds the muscle of courage. And once that muscle wakes up, fear loses the right to dictate your future. The next step of your life is not waiting for inspiration. It's waiting for action. Fear will never vanish from your life. It isn't something you defeat once and walk away from. It's a shadow that follows every man, testing his resolve at every crossroads. But Musashi understood the real distinction. Weak men wait for fear to disappear before they act, while strong men act in spite of it. Courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is movement in its presence. When you follow these 21 rules, you stop treating fear like a master and start treating it like information. You stop shrinking from discomfort and begin using it as fuel. You stop clinging to outcomes, possessions, and approval. And you become a man who stands on his own foundation. And here is the truth most people never realize. The chains holding you back were never locked. You were always free to move. The only question was whether you would. So ask yourself now, without hesitation, without excuses, without the old stories that kept you small. What is the action you will take today? Not tomorrow, not someday, but today. Your life expands or contracts based on the courage you choose in this moment. Step forward, take the swing. Fear will follow you, but it will no longer control you.